So at this point, it's been about 4 years since Security Breach came out, and everyone has dug into the ground to figure out what this game means, everything that has to do with the game. At this point, there's a stone that's hardly unturned, but somehow, yeah, I found something, and from what I've seen over the internet, no one else has been talking about this. This certain thing may seem really dumb over what I'm getting really excited about, but I swear, no one has talked about this. One of the things that hooked me into the world of Security Breach was the fact that Afton hadn't disappeared. Although an overwhelming part of the FNAF community believes that Burntrap is the mimic, I will get onto that later in the video. In a story as big as FNAF, where there is a bunch of puzzle pieces missing, there's always one thing that stays consistent: Afton. Even after he died, when all the ghosts of the original murders forced William to take shelter in his old Springlock suit, his suit fails and ends up destroying his body and ends up dead, while his soul fuses with the robotic costume. Over the span of 6 games, he gets stuck in 2 burning buildings, his soul suffers a prison that Cassidy wraps him in the afterlife without wanting to give Afton the satisfaction of death, escapes and infuses his soul with a VR game and takes over Vanessa's mind and comes back in a physical form in Security Breach. But was this always the plan? My biggest question was, what role would Afton play in the story? In Help Wanted, we were introduced to Tape Girl. It turns out that the production of the game was going rather slow enough that Fazbear Entertainment did not like it. Fazbear then sent Parasol a box of old tech, presumably from the old Freddy Fazbear locations. Parasol then scanned everything that was sent to them, and while it sped up the process, something started happening. Jeremy, who'd been the game's beta tester, started to see a strange anomaly. Soon after, Jeremy started changing, and not for the better, and actually ended up dying. Tape Girl then ends up beta testing the game and reports the anomaly's actions and finds a way to destroy it, but ends up failing. Then a new beta tester named Vanessa steps in and follows Tape Girl's instructions, but ends up putting the entity back together in her attempt. And in her attempt to destroy it, she ends up failing as well. But this time, something new happens. With the other beta testers who are affected by the entity, they have an unknown fate or death. But not with Vanessa. The entity successfully takes over Vanessa and locks part of Vanessa away. With a human vessel, Burntrap can now successfully start taking steps forward into the future. But how does this make sense in Security Breach? Because Security Breach was made during the COVID-19 pandemic, and that made a lot of things harder for Steel Wool because suddenly their entire studio had to just be all over the country. Things weren't being communicated properly, and Scott was being very vague about the game's story. In an interview with Daco held with Scott Cawthon for the 10th anniversary, where Scott shared some interesting news about the development of Security Breach, he said something rather interesting. He directly stated, "Originally, Burntrap was never supposed to move. He was supposed to be something you saw in the corner."
When it comes to Burntrap, originally, Burntrap was never supposed to move. He was supposed to just be something you saw in the corners, or like if you were walking past machinery, you might be able to peek in between 2 things and see him in the corner or propped up against a wall, almost like a some kind of decaying movie prop, and you never fully understood what his purpose was. And he had a very specific purpose, and I'm not going to say what that purpose was, but realistically, he never moved. Well, obviously, that's not what we got in Security Breach. In Security Breach, we got a capsule opening and purple smoke flowing out and him climbing out and coming to get you.
Originally, he was supposed to be something that was just kind of propped up by junk. And here's where things started to fall into place, because originally, it was just supposed to be a video that was just kind of like going over everything about Afton and how he would fit into Security Breach, and here's where I found it. The one thing that would change this course of this video. I legit was writing down all of the tape logs from Help Wanted, and no, that's not even where it starts. Every now and then, I catch myself looking at the old Security Breach trailers, because those are nostalgic to me. Here's where things get interesting. In February of 2026, during a Sony PlayStation State of Play event, they released one of the most successful Security Breach trailers I've ever seen.
Are you ready?
Gregory, we can get you out of here. You and me together. They won't stop hunting you. None of them will stop hunting you. We have to get you out by morning.
Do as I say. You will bring me what I want. And if you fail me, then you will, both of you, burn!
There is more going on here than you realize.
This trailer is like everything you would have wanted it to be, while it being new, but still feeling like an old Scott Games trailer. And now a lot of you are probably thinking, well, why are you getting so excited over this? Okay, let's take a breather. And let's look at this calmly. So at the end of this trailer, after a few lines of dialogue from Vanessa, we see this clip.
There is more going on here than you realize.
And obviously this was getting everyone hyped because everyone was like, oh my god, Afton is back. In which, yes, he did return. But here's where things get interesting again. I mean, obviously, yeah, you see the hand, it's coming forward, it's making sparks and stuff. But it looks like everyone forgot to look at the background. If you've ever played Security Breach, or seen a playthrough of Security Breach, and you've seen the Afton boss fight, the only place you see Afton in this entire game is the basement underneath the FNAF 6 location. You cannot find him anywhere else in the game. And this is not the basement. So I was like, hey, why don't I take it upon myself to figure out where this is? And oh boy, did it take me for a short journey. So I plop this screenshot and I plop this bad boy into my thumbnail editor, and I go and I brighten everything and make sure that this image is as clear as possible. You can clearly see a workbench, some arcades in the corner, the brick wall. I don't know about you, but you can only find this one place in the Pizzaplex. Ah yes, so here we are, the hallway that Music Man chases you down. It took a lot of work, but I think I found the exact desk that was used in the trailer. Everything may not line up perfectly because Steve will probably change a few things. But somewhere before February 26th of 2021, Steve will change what he was gonna do. This, unfortunately, is where my trail goes cold, because unlike the development of Secret of the Mimic, where they showed some behind the scenes of their characters messing up, they unfortunately didn't do that with Security Breach, and that really upsets me. I think I have like one theory that involves the Princess Quest arcade cabinet that's in there, But other than that, I have no idea what he would be doing in the arcade. Well, that'll be for another video if this video gets enough of an audience, and hopefully it does. Thank you so much for whoever stuck through the end, and thank you. See you later.